Help me hit 10,000 subscribers, and together we can build something truly special. If you're here, it means you're ready for real change, not just surface level advice. You're here because you want to understand connection, attraction, and how to become the kind of man people naturally gravitate toward. Before we dive deep, I need to ask for your support. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. When we reach that milestone together, I'll know there's a community of men serious about growth, and I'll bring even more powerful content your way. Now, let's get into something most people will never tell you, but once you understand it, everything changes. Let's speak honestly and clearly. The world often makes it seem like understanding women is some impossible mystery, like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. But the truth is much warmer and more human than that. Women are people, just like you and me. They have hearts that beat, minds that wonder, and feelings that respond to the world around them in predictable, natural ways. When you understand these patterns, connecting deeply with someone becomes not just possible, but natural. Before anyone gets the wrong idea, let me be very clear about something. This is not about manipulation or playing games. This is about understanding human psychology and using that knowledge to build something real and lasting. The problem is that many men make the same mistakes over and over. They chase after women like someone chasing a butterfly with a net, desperately hoping to capture something beautiful. They shower compliments, spend endless hours worrying, and try far too hard to be noticed. But that approach fundamentally misunderstands how attraction actually works. Hearts do not find a spark with someone who acts like a servant or a puppy following its owner around. Hearts find a spark with someone who makes them feel something deep, something they can't quite explain. Curiosity, excitement, the thrill of wondering what happens next, the gentle uncertainty of not being completely sure where they stand. People start thinking about you constantly when you touch their emotions, not when you try to buy their time with presence or drown them in attention. Most men are far too predictable. They tell their entire life story on the first day. They reveal every thought, every insecurity, every plan they have. There's no mystery left to discover, no challenge to solve, and no tiny flame of curiosity to keep alive. Then they feel genuinely confused and hurt when the other person loses interest. If you want someone to really care about you, to think about you when you're not around, to feel that pull toward you, you have to fundamentally change how you show up in the world. One of the most powerful principles you need to understand is the concept of scarcity. We value what is rare. Think about gold, diamonds, or a beautiful flower that only blooms once a year. If gold was as common as sand on a beach, nobody would treasure it. The same principle applies to your time, your attention, and your presence. When you're always available, always responding instantly, always ready to drop everything at a moment's notice, you accidentally communicate that your time has little value. People are naturally drawn to things that feel special, exclusive, or hard to obtain. This doesn't mean being cruel or playing manipulative games. It means genuinely having a life that matters to you beyond any one person. When you stop giving away all your time freely, something shifts. Many men believe that being constantly available proves their devotion and will make someone love them more. They send messages throughout the day, agree to every plan immediately, and make it painfully obvious that their entire world revolves around one person. While this might seem loving, it often produces the opposite effect. Instead of feeling valued, she begins to think you don't have your own life, your own purpose, or your own direction. If you're always there, there's simply no reason for her to miss you, and missing someone is where desire grows. Being scarce isn't about ignoring people or being intentionally hurtful. It's about genuinely having hobbies, work, friendships, and goals that matter to you independent of any relationship. When she sees that your time is a gift because you're genuinely busy building something meaningful, it sends an incredibly strong message. It shows you're a man with purpose and direction, which is deeply attractive. This principle extends to communication as well. If you're always the one initiating conversations or replying within seconds of receiving a message, you're not giving her space to wonder about you. Let conversations breathe. Let her think thoughts like, "I wonder what he's doing right now," or "I hope he messages me soon." When you're not constantly present, she has time to imagine, to wonder, and to fill in the gaps with her own thoughts about you. That's when you become truly interesting to her mind. Finding the right balance is crucial here. You want to show genuine interest without seeming like you're waiting by the phone for her attention. For example, if she suggests getting together and you genuinely have other plans, don't immediately rearrange everything. Tell her you'd love to see her another time. This demonstrates that your life is full and interesting, which makes the time you do spend together feel like something special rather than something guaranteed. Think about the most desirable things in life: limited edition items, exclusive events, once-in-a-lifetime experiences. They're valuable precisely because we can't have them whenever we want. You should approach your own presence the same way. When you're selective about where and how you invest your energy, you naturally become someone people want to be around. It's important to distinguish this from being cold or distant. The goal isn't to make anyone feel bad or insecure. The goal is to demonstrate that you genuinely value yourself and your time. When you respect yourself and maintain a fulfilling life independently, you create a natural magnetism that people find irresistible. Another powerful concept is maintaining an element of mystery. Think about a captivating book or movie. If everything was revealed in the first chapter or the opening scene, you'd have no reason to continue. Mystery keeps people engaged, curious, and wanting more. If someone feels like they haven't fully figured you out yet, they'll remain interested far longer than if you laid everything bare immediately. A huge mistake many men make is revealing everything about themselves too quickly. You meet someone you're attracted to, and suddenly you're sharing your entire childhood, all your struggles, your deepest dreams, and your past relationships within the first few conversations. While this might feel like being open and authentic, it actually removes the pleasure of discovery. When there's nothing left to learn, excitement begins to fade. Staying mysterious doesn't mean lying or hiding your true self. It simply means revealing yourself gradually, layer by layer, giving her time to become genuinely curious about who you are beneath the surface. For instance, if she asks about your weekend, you don't need to provide a minute-by-minute account of everything you did. You could simply say something like, "It was really good. I got to work on something I'm passionate about," and leave it at that. This creates space for her to ask follow-up questions if she's interested, transforming the conversation into something she's actively pursuing rather than passively receiving. Another aspect of mystery involves being somewhat unpredictable. If someone knows exactly what you're going to say, exactly when you'll call, and exactly how you'll react to every situation, the spark begins to dim. Introduce variation into your patterns. Don't send messages at exactly the same time every day. Suggest unexpected plans instead of falling into the same routine every time you meet. This unpredictability keeps her slightly off balance in a way that maintains interest. Mystery also manifests in having depth to your life that she doesn't immediately understand. If you're genuinely engaged in projects, hobbies, or pursuits that you're passionate about, it makes your life seem layered and complex. When she sees you as someone with many dimensions to explore, she'll naturally want to learn more. You can maintain mystery through your communication style as well. You don't need to rush to explain yourself during every silence or minor misunderstanding. Sometimes allowing a moment to hang in the air creates a sense of intrigue. A man who's comfortable with silence and doesn't feel compelled to fill every gap with words demonstrates confidence and self-assurance. Just remember that mystery isn't about being confusing or playing psychological games. You still need to be warm and show genuine care. You want her to feel valued and special, but you also want to leave her wanting to come back for more. Mystery creates a sense of depth, like gazing at the ocean and knowing there are incredible things beneath the surface you haven't yet discovered. Now let's talk about something crucial that most men completely miss. If you want someone to truly notice you, to feel drawn to you in a way they can't quite explain, you need to stop relying solely on logic and start connecting emotionally. Attraction isn't a mathematical equation or a job interview. It's about how you make someone feel deep in their heart. This is where countless men go wrong. They try to demonstrate how stable they are, how much they earn, how polite they can be, listing their qualities like items on a resume. While those things certainly have value, people don't fall in love with a list of qualifications. They fall in love with how someone makes them feel. You can be perfect on paper, but if you don't create emotional resonance, you'll remain invisible. We're talking about creating small waves of emotion that draw someone closer. The reality is that humans experience the world primarily through feelings. If you're always predictable, always safe, always agreeable, the other person will likely become bored. You become just another nice guy trying desperately to be liked. So how do you stand out? You create emotional variation. Imagine having coffee together. Most men will smile constantly and agree with everything she says. But you can be different. You can be playful. When she says something you disagree with, you can challenge it kindly but directly, asking her to defend her position. This creates a small amount of tension, like pulling a string taut. When she responds, don't immediately jump in with your own response. Let silence exist for a moment. Let her feel the weight of you truly considering what she said, of you really looking at her. That space, that tension, is where attraction begins to build. This is where emotional strength comes into play. Being emotionally strong doesn't mean suppressing all feelings or acting like a robot. It means being in control of your emotional state, rather than being controlled by it. It means being the calm center in the middle of chaos. You can laugh, flirt, and have deep conversations, but you always maintain your center. Some men swing between two extremes, either becoming overly emotional and creating drama, or becoming completely cold and detached. Neither works well. The sweet spot is balanced emotional presence. Here's a truth that might sting a bit, but needs to be said. If she walks away from a conversation with you and doesn't feel anything particularly special, she probably won't be eager to return. Creating emotional impact isn't about manipulation. It's about leading the energy of your interactions. Maybe you hold eye contact slightly longer than expected. Maybe you share a story about a time you failed and what you learned, showing vulnerability and strength simultaneously. Sometimes a moment of silence where she realizes she can't quite read you is more powerful than 100 compliments. That creates intrigue that draws her toward you. If you want her to pursue you rather than the other way around, make her wonder. Don't always respond to messages immediately, not because you're playing games, but because your life is genuinely full of meaningful activities. That small gap creates anticipation and curiosity. Don't be afraid to say no sometimes. A man with boundaries and standards is a man who respects himself, and that's incredibly attractive. Ask better questions that go beyond surface-level small talk. Instead of, what do you do for fun? Try something like, what's something you loved doing as a child that you wish you still made time for? A question like that makes her think deeply and access positive emotions and memories. When she talks, truly listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Let her feel genuinely heard and understood. That presence is what she'll remember long after the conversation ends. This is your secret advantage. You're not simply reacting to her, you're creating a space where both of you can be fully present. She might test you occasionally by being distant or saying something sharp. Most men would panic and scramble to fix it immediately. But you remain calm, you observe, you allow her to have her feelings without frantically trying to change them. The truth is, people don't want someone who reacts to every little fluctuation in mood. They want someone strong enough to hold space for whatever arises. That's true leadership and emotional maturity. She doesn't want to be impressed by your possessions or accomplishments. She wants to be moved by your presence and your spirit. Give her moments she'll replay in her mind, moments where your silence meant more than words ever could. Take a moment right now to reflect on how you can lead more effectively with authentic presence and emotional strength. You've just learned something most men never discover. Being unpredictable in the right ways is another key element. Let's be clear about what kills interest faster than almost anything else being completely predictable. If she knows exactly what you're going to say before you open your mouth, or exactly what you'll do every Friday night, boredom sets in. Interest dies when everything becomes routine and expected. This is a mistake countless men make. They believe that being utterly consistent and predictable will build trust and security. While reliability certainly matters, especially in established relationships, in the early stages, people are looking for that spark of excitement. A spark doesn't come from doing the same safe thing repeatedly. It comes from not knowing exactly what's around the corner. This isn't about being unreliable or disappearing randomly. It's about breaking expected patterns. If someone can predict your every move, they stop feeling any need to chase or pursue you. Our brains are wired to pay attention to novelty and unpredictability. New and unexpected things capture our attention and keep us engaged. If you always send the same good morning text, if you're always perfectly agreeable and never challenge anything she says, you're not building attraction. You're following a script, and scripts don't have soul or spark. Here's a concrete example. Imagine she sends you a flirty message late at night. Most men would immediately respond with something equally flirty. But you could respond with something like, "Can't talk tonight, I'm focused on finishing something important. Let's catch up tomorrow." You don't need to explain everything or justify yourself. This breaks the expected pattern. Suddenly she's thinking about you and wondering what you're doing that's so important, it takes priority over her attention. Being appropriately unpredictable means following your own path rather than just doing what you think she wants. It means sometimes responding to her teasing with your own playful challenge, sometimes pausing thoughtfully before answering a question, sometimes changing the subject entirely. This demonstrates that you're comfortable in your own skin and don't need her validation to feel okay about yourself. A man who's too easy to predict is often unconsciously seeking approval and validation. But a man who maintains an element of unpredictability is comfortable with tension and doesn't need constant reassurance. Keep parts of yourself slightly out of reach. You don't need to share every plan or every thought that crosses your mind. When she can't completely figure you out, she'll pay much closer attention to everything you do and say. Think about compelling characters in stories and films. They're typically calm and capable, but you never fully know everything they're thinking or planning. That creates a powerful sense of intrigue. If you want someone to move toward you, give them something to reach for. Say no sometimes. Pull back slightly when things feel too comfortable. Laugh when she expects you to be serious. Be bold when she expects you to be timid. This isn't about seeking attention. It's about demonstrating that you have your own life and your own way of moving through the world. Being unpredictable with purpose is magnetic. You're not being random for the sake of it. You're being fully alive and multidimensional. She can't simply categorize you and move on because you're not like everyone else she's encountered. So resist falling into boring, predictable rhythms. Don't become someone she can label and file away mentally. Keep her curious, not through manipulation or cruelty, but by being genuinely present and authentic rather than playing a role you think she wants. That's what creates the desire to get closer to you. If you've stayed with me this far, you're already different from most men. You're willing to look honestly at these dynamics and grow. Everything I'm sharing comes from understanding human psychology and genuine care for helping you build real connections. These aren't tricks to use on people. They're insights into how attraction naturally works when you align with those principles rather than fighting against them. The journey we're on together is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because he's naturally magnetic. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're building something powerful here. When we hit that 10,000 subscriber milestone, you'll be part of a community of men committed to real growth, and I'll know this message is reaching the people who need it most. Share this with someone who's struggling to understand these dynamics. Leave a comment about which point resonated most strongly with you. Your engagement helps this reach more people who are ready for transformation. The path forward is about becoming someone of genuine value, someone with depth, purpose, and emotional strength. That's the man people naturally want to be close to, and that's exactly who you're becoming through this understanding.